Okay, let's talk about the insurance industry. It's this massive, multi-trillion-dollar giant, right? A pillar of the economy. But it has a huge problem. It just can't seem to attract the next generation of talent. Today, we're going to dive into some new research that cracks the code on exactly why that is, and what the industry might need to do to fix it.
So here's the big question, the one that everyone seems to be asking. Why does Gen Z think the insurance industry is just boring? I mean, seriously, when you think insurance career, what's the first word that pops into your head? For a lot of young people, that's the word. But is that the whole story? Or is there something deeper going on? Let's see what the numbers say.
Get ready for this number, 79%. That's how many Gen Zers have never even considered a career in insurance. I mean, think about that for a second. That's almost 4 out of every 5 young people just completely writing off an entire industry from the get-go. For a business that desperately needs fresh talent, that is a massive red flag.
And if we dig into that a little deeper, you can see the breakdown right here. You've got nearly half, 49%, who are just flat out not interested. Then you have this, really committed group, 14%, who say nothing could ever convince them. The door is shut, locked, and bolted. But, and this is the important part, there's that 37%, the ones who are potentially open. That's the group the industry needs to understand and win over.
All right, so this leads us to the great insurance disconnect. We need to understand the barriers here. What's really standing between this generation and an entire industry? And when you ask them directly, Gen Z is not shy about it. The perception is, well, it's not great. They see an outdated corporate culture, something from a different era. They imagine the work is repetitive and totally uninspiring. They worry about a lack of flexibility, no autonomy, and these really murky career paths where you could just get stuck. It's a real fear of career stagnation.
Okay, so the first major hurdle, it's not what you might think. It's not about pay, it's not about perks, it's a crisis of values. This generation is actively searching for meaningful, ethical work, and they're just not seeing it in insurance.
And this quote from an 18-year-old in the survey, man, it just hits you. They said, if I knew I could actually help people, not just deny claims, I might consider it. Wow, that right there tells you everything. They want to help, but they see the job as the exact opposite.
So you see, the problem runs deeper than just boring. It's this deep-seated fear that they'd be asked to do unethical work, that they'd have to compromise who they are. And for a generation that puts so much weight on purpose, that's a non-starter, a total deal-breaker.
So how do you fix that? The report suggests a total reframe of the mission. First, you have to emphasize the true value, which is making communities feel safe and supported. And second, you've got to showcase how the industry provides something essential that people genuinely want and need. It's about shifting the story from profit to purpose.
All right, next up is this constant push and pull between stability and flexibility. It's the new work-life equation, and it's a real sticking point.
So check this out. This table lays it out perfectly. What does Gen Z want? Financial stability. A huge 66% say that's key. And hey, perception of insurance on that front, pretty strong. But then, look at the other side. They also want flexible work options and work-life balance. And the perception there? Rigid. In office, overly corporate. It's like the industry is acing one part of the test and completely failing the other.
And this quote from a 23-year-old just sums it up, doesn't it? I get the vibe that a lot of insurance companies are every day full return to the office. That's definitely not for me. That's the vibe they're getting. And that vibe is a huge turnoff.
The proposed solution here is pretty clear. It's time to modernize the model. We're talking about offering truly flexible roles and benefits that actually adapt to people's lives. It means creating entry points into the industry that aren't just one straight, narrow path. And it definitely means bringing in agile tools and new ways of working.
Okay, let's tackle the big one, the boring myth. We've got to get beyond this, because the perception is based on a really narrow and frankly outdated view of a huge and complex industry.
And just look at this number, 67%. That's 2 out of every 3 young people who think a job in insurance would be, well, boring. That is a monster of a perception problem to overcome.
This is what I mean by the perception gap. On the left, you've got what Gen Z thinks insurance is, claims, paperwork, customer service, sitting in phone queues. But on the right, that's what the industry actually is today. It's tech and data, it's strategy, it's product design, it's even sustainability. The two pictures could not be more different.
So, what's the solution? Simple. Expand the horizon. This is, at its core, a marketing problem. The industry has all these cool, dynamic jobs, but it's doing a terrible job of showing them to the world.
So how do you actually do that? First, you have to connect the dots. Show people how their skills, whether in coding, marketing, or design, translate into meaningful work, not just menial tasks. Second, you have to actively shout about those unseen roles in tech, data, and strategy. And third, and this is crucial, you've got to modernize the customer experience, because a clunky, frustrating brand experience just confirms all the worst stereotypes.
And for our final point, we need to rethink the whole idea of the corporate ladder. Because honestly, Gen Z isn't looking to climb it. They're looking to trade hierarchy for actual impact.
This bar chart should be a huge wake-up call for every big company out there. Look at this drop-off. Right now, 37% of Gen Z work at a large corporation. But how many want to be there in the future? Just 16%. That's an exodus. They are actively trying to leave that traditional corporate environment. And again, a quote from the survey just nails it. I'm looking for a workplace that's inclusive, where there's space for everyone to speak, even if you're younger or less senior. It's not about climbing a ladder, it's about being in a room where your voice matters from day one.
So the final solution is all about empowering the next generation. It means building dynamic cultures that actually recognize accomplishments, not just time served. It means giving people real autonomy and showing them their contributions are valued. And it means creating roles where they can lead real change, whether it's in strategy or new product development.
Which brings us to the ultimate question. The insurance industry was literally built on the idea of stability. But to survive and thrive, can it now learn to build its future on change? That's the challenge. And honestly, the answer is going to define the next 50 years for this entire industry.